in, and he was gone.
Wow.
I mean, and they kind of bargained the brother over what the penalty would have been for the officer. So, I dealt with that. And still, even now, I was out of town a little bit. And then as I came in, you start to see the beginnings of what were the Black Lives Matter protests. And I got emotional, man, because, I mean, here's this dude that went away and with nothing, just became another statistic. And then now, these years later, you see kids out there holding up these signs and families and kids on the shoulders about lives, and about people being killed senseless by the police. And I mean, I was emotional because, I mean, I thought we were going to grow old with this dude. This guy was like, and I don't think I'd ever, even now, it's like, how many years have passed? To think about, all the stuff that we wanted to do, or we used to talk about even being a comedian.
Yeah.
For him to have seen all this, or just to see us go old. I mean, I'd take those guys to the Laker games. I'd take them to Dodger games. And of all the guys that I grew up with, he's the one dude that's missing.
That's sad, man.
Yeah. So add that with that incredible childhood.
Well, so how'd you start? Like, did you like to watch comedy to get you out of your shit, or how'd you start thinking about comedy?
I started watching, the Midnight Special.
Oh yeah.
I started
Don Kirshner.
Don Kirshner's Midnight Special, rock show. And I started to see, Cheech and Chong albums, and the guys that were older had older brothers. They'd let us listen to Richard Pryor on an album. You sit in the living room drinking, and you're listening to this, voice, and you're imagining all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so from that, and then Sanford and Son, The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, Chico and the Man, like in '73, when I saw Freddie Prinze, I was just like, man, what's this dude? At least he's Hungarian, Puerto Rican, but, wanting to do, you didn't even know stand-up's a profession, but wanting to do that at 11 and then seeing this guy at 13, he wasn't around that long. He was around until January of '77. But it had such a tremendous impact on me because it was like the first person that I had in my life that I could look forward to seeing, even though I didn't know him.
Right.
But it gave me almost a connection. And I think it was a little bit of that. And then at San Fernando High, when I was a senior in high school, my buddy Ernie went to Kennedy, and they had written about this guy named Don Nielsen who was going to the Comedy Store in Westwood on Monday nights. So he was written it up in the school paper, and then he brought me the school paper, and he's like, look at this dude's doing stand-up. He's a senior in high school. You and I ought to go out there, and we ought to try it, man. You ought to try to go up there and see if you can do it on a Monday night. So I did.
Don Nelson, what happened to that guy?
Don Nelson was a little bit of an actor. He was doing some Budweiser commercials. He was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I think he was still doing a little stand-up. I don't remember if I met him, but he was at that time the epitome of the tweed jacket with the patches, and then the knitted tie, and the khakis, and he just looked perfect. And back at that time, Joey Gaynor was at the Comedy Store in Westwood, Howie Mandel, Tim Thomerson, Ollie Joe Prater, Shanlin, and those guys that, John Fox.
Late 70s?
Oh, late 79, summer of 79. Yeah. And even though I didn't really know those guys, I was kind of around. But to see those guys at that time, and then, to go to the Comedy Store on Sunset and just hang out, and, you see David Letterman there. I saw Pryor there. I saw Robin Williams, Yakov. So at those times, almost now, if you look back, those guys almost seem like, icons or dinosaurs amongst humanity, that those guys now are so iconic that they almost look like they didn't exist. It's been so long.
That's true, except that, you can still go see Yakov.
Yeah. And, he's the first dude. He used to go to the Comedy Store. Danny Moore had a workshop at the Comedy Store across street in the original room, but then sometimes across street in that annex.
Yeah.
And we went in there early, and Yakov Smirnoff was on stage. He did an hour, his show verbatim, where he would even look into the audience and go, how's your name? Even look at the chairs. That dude had it down. I'd never seen anybody do it like that since. There's a lot of guys that, Denny Johnston still does the same stuff. But the fact that this guy could fill an hour in an empty showroom talking to the chairs and knowing what chairs to talk to as an 18-year-old kid fucking blew me away, man. It's like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Like it's all planned. That's where you learn the trick for some of those guys.
You make it look like improv.
Yeah. So he's doing a whole other thing now. I mean, I guess he got his degree in psychotherapy. He does a whole man and women and psychology trip, like, because, you know, the Russian thing don't fly anymore.
He went to Branson. Didn't he have his own theater in Branson?
Yeah, and he went to graduate school. And now he's got this whole other men and women thing, not like What a Country. It's about, you know, so it's more of a one-man show, you know.
What a Country was pretty good. He had some pretty good ones.
Pretty good, man.
He goes, I come here, I land at the airport, I see a billboard that says Smirnoff. I'm like, what a country.
Yeah. So you started going over to Westwood when you were like 18 or 19?
I just turned 18. I went on Cinco de Mayo in 1979. I was still in high school. Me and my buddy Ernie went on a Saturday night. We went in there. They would let you in if you were 18. I saw all those guys. I saw Yakov. I saw Danny Mora for the first time, and saw some others. I saw Fox and Lois.
Bromfield,
like that. So I followed Danny Mora to the sidewalk. I followed him outside, and I said, "Hey, man, he's wearing a Laverne and Shirley hoodie. He's riding on Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah.
He still has that leather bag. He probably still has it to this day. It's the same bag." And I said, "Hey, man, you know, I want to be a comedian too." And you know, he's like, "Oh yeah, well, you know, what's your style?" I said, "I don't have a style yet, but I want to be like you." And that motherfucker spent the next 10 minutes telling me how I couldn't be like him, and how I've had to find my own identity, and how you just can't walk up to somebody and say you want to be a comedian and you want to be like that person.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, all right. Take it easy.
It sounds like between him and your baseball coach, you got some good.
These guys, fucking gems, fucking diamonds in the rough, these guys.
Well, how many Latino guys were there really working around then?
At that time, there was Angel Salazar from New York.
Check it out.
And then I was at the Comedy Store on Sunset when by the time Angel's done, it looks like a goddamn flea market behind him.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So when he says goodbye, the next 10 minutes is him putting shit back in his bag. And then Eddie Murphy walks up behind him.
Yeah.
And now as he has his back turned, this place is going fucking crazy. Eddie Murphy goes in there with a leather jacket, fucking sleeves rolled up. It's hot as fuck. And the thing that's funny is that Angel hasn't seen that Eddie Murphy is standing behind him yet. So as he's gathering his shit, he looks up and he's just like this. And now everybody's truly fucking rolling. And he goes, check it out! Like, fucking like that. He's like, Eddie Murphy, check it out!
That's hilarious.
I saw Jesse Aragon the last night of his life. He was we were down at the Comedy Store on a Monday night. He was driving a motorcycle, and he got hit on the side of the freeway that night.
Oh, man.
By a truck that was, you know, they drive too close to the inside lane. Yeah. Crazy shit, man. The greatest thing about Jesse Aragon is now when you start to do one-nighters in the car, somebody's driving.
Right.
Like I still work during the day. He didn't. So he really didn't have a car that was reliable. So we go up to, I think, the San Luis Obispo, and we leave Friday because I'm working. We probably should have left earlier, and we're driving there. We're gonna make it. Probably just go straight to the hotel, the ballroom. And he says to me, he's looking through his bag, and he pulls out a bag of oranges that are completely fucking rotten and twisted and black with fruit flies in them. And it looks like, what the fuck is that? I'm driving. What the fuck is that? He goes, oh man. He goes, I haven't worked. I found these. He goes, we got to stop at the market before we go to the club because I got to buy another bag of oranges. And I said, so what do you do, man? Like before every show, you buy a bag of oranges? And he goes, yeah. I said, why don't you just get some fucking tennis balls and paint them orange and just put them in the orange bag? That motherfucker looked at me like if I had discovered fire, man. He just was like,
He changed all of that. So you guys were buddies, used to do one-nighters together, and then he passed?
We used to do one-nighters up there, yeah. Lamppost, pizza, the club soda up in Ventura. It's funny, man. On a Sunday, I'd invite my friends, and it's not glamorous, when you're starting out on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And Marc Wilmore was up before me, and there was a guy in the front row with his foot on the stage, eating popcorn out of one of those, coconut bowls, and Marc Wilmore says to me, if that motherfucker right there is talking, I'm going to beat his ass. So the guy's talking, Marc Wilmore is going at him, and he leaves early. And then I go up and I tell my buddy, I said, if this dude is talking shit, man, I'm going to go at him. And, of course, he's talking shit. I grabbed that popcorn bowl upside down and I flung it, and it went like a Frisbee, fucking cut him right here. Yeah. Show's over. Yeah. Bob Zaney that was a Bob Zaney gig. The dude's bleeding from a slice like a stuck pig. That shit running outside of his face. Yeah. He thinks he's gonna lose an eye. And the next day, Bob Zaney calls me. It's $25. And I remember he said, "So you tell me, you think that I should pay you this $25 considering what happened last night?" And I'm like, you know what, man? Fucking keep that $25. He wanted me to decide if I was up there long enough, since I threw a fucking bamboo bowl at this guy and cut him over his eye. Was I deserve? You tell me. I'll pay you. But you tell me, do you think you deserve this $25? I'm still working during the day, man. I was like, you know what, motherfucker, keep your $25.
Hey, man, you got to throw a bowl at a guy who deserved it.
Yeah. Couldn't do that shit now.
No,
I do that shit now.
I say that all the time. Back in the day, man, people used to lose their shit on stage, and nobody was the wiser. You know, you saw some people really lose their fucking mind sometimes.
If you want to see some of the greatest, man, that dude that was playing the guitar, Kenny, whatever that guy's name is, Kenny Lane or some dude. If anybody looks it up on YouTube.
The guy who hit the guy in the head?
He's going like this. He's trying to stay. He goes, "Hey, don't come up here, motherfucker." And you see the guy coming. He grabs that guitar, hits him over the head. The back comes off the guitar. He puts it back on like nothing. The back's missing. And, everyone's like, what the? He tries to play it, and he goes, "You saw him, folks. That guy just came at me." And everybody's like, "No!"
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Crazy shit, man.
So when did you start doing the TV? Like, one thing I don't know about, there was a time there way back when people gave a shit about, the Mencia thing, where I talked to, I talked to Barcena and I talked to some other cats, and there was I never knew if there was a Latino circuit when you guys were starting out.
The thing was that it started like this. Like, I don't think I've ever told my story. I would hear, because I didn't go to the Comedy Store, even though I started the Comedy Store. I didn't really spend my time there. And I would hear about this doorman that was doing my material.
This is this. Okay, yeah.
And I'm like, who is that? They're like, it's some dude, like Mitzi's driver. He's a comedian. And, Mencia had a little bit of heat in the early 90s. Like, he was daring, he was out there. It was a bravado. So I had already been doing Sunday comics, and I had been doing Friday night videos, anything that you could do around. And that was obviously, I was already married. I was already doing Arsenio's. So in 19...
You were headlining?
I was kind of starting on the road. And in 1993, he had a one night only or half hour comedy.
95.
Whatever they're called.
95. HBO.
Right there. Yeah. So when it premieres, the next morning I have like 40 calls on my answering machine. And they're like, "Yo, Lope, you got to see this dude. Man, this dude's doing your shit." I'm like, "Where?" And on that, I got a copy from my lawyer, a copy of his half hour, his HBO special, half hour. It was a 21-minute special. 14 minutes of his 21 minutes was mine. Jeez, so
holy shit.
We went to HBO. But aside from that, I went to the Laugh Factory on a Saturday that week that happened. And as I pull up to the valet, he's waiting by the valet. And I look at him and I go, "It's not the time, man. It's not the time. I just want to talk to you." I go, "Dude, leave me alone." I said, "Man, it's not the time. Don't follow me." Follows me inside. I said, "Listen, man, fucking stay away from me. It ain't the time. It ain't the place." We go upstairs. He's like, "Listen, you don't understand." I grabbed this dude with both of my fists, spin him around, throw him into the corner of the Laugh Factory where you start to take the stairs back by where the DJ is.
Yeah.
I get him. I have both fists in his shirt. I'm picking him up, and I'm going like this. Mark, I was going to throw that motherfucker over the balcony while the show was going on. So I'm back like this, and my wife grabs my arm, and she's like, "He's not worth it. Leave him alone." And fucking Mencia with his fucking bumblebee fucking body is down on the ground looking for some, medal he was wearing.
Yeah.
And I said, man, get the fuck out of here, dude. And I don't think I've seen him.